Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
So check it out. The D6 Squad has merch now. We got hoodies, tees, mugs, whatever you need. Check it out. Link in the description. What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So this is a huge topic, man. I mean, we thought first off, I was banging the drums on Ja'Marr Chase. I'm still the biggest Ja'Marr Chase. He's going to be one of my favorite players in the NFL, day one, as soon as he gets drafted. Unless he goes to the funky, disgusting Eagles. If he goes to any other team, he's going to be one of my favorite players. But Ja'Marr Chase, to me, has always been the number one receiver, and people are starting to finally figure it out. I don't think the NFL was ever fooled by this Heisman season by DeVonta Smith. But one thing about DeVonta Smith is he just had a Heisman season, and that wasn't a fluke. DeVonta Smith is an elite receiver prospect. He's not every now and he's not an everyday receiver prospect. He is an elite receiver prospect, and he does have the weight issues. But if he can stay healthy, I haven't really seen him get hurt all that much. I see him play stronger than what his frame shows. I see him willing in the run blocking. I see him not getting pushed around in the run blocking. So if he can just put on some weight, put on he's at 175 listed. I'm thinking he's probably at 160 something right now because I think he did have a broken hand so he can't really lift at that point. But if he can get up to 185, I'll be fine. I won't have any problems. Get him up to 185. That's cool. 180, that's cool. If you can be an explosive receiver for us and stay on the field, I don't care what you weigh. I really don't. I don't care if you weigh $112. But DeVonta Smith has been falling down everybody's draft board. The mock drafts, at one point had him at 2 to the Jets. Now they're saying that because of his weight, they're noticing that teams are not okay with it, and he's falling down. And that's realistic. Someone who's 170 or 160 something, that is a lot to have to deal with the NFL game at that weight. Especially, you're not even a short guy. You're 6'1", and you're 160. So that's a lot to deal with, on his body. So I could understand why teams are shying away. But the Giants better not shy away, because if DeVonta Smith is there and they pass on DeVonta Smith for someone who's not as good a prospect as him, I'm going to have an issue with it. I just really am, because he's an elite prospect. Literally his only problem is the weight. People try to say that he runs a 4.5. I doubt that he runs a 4.5 because I've seen his tape. Now he might, stretch out for a 40 and get on the racetrack with tights on and run a 4.5. But I'll tell you one thing, on the field, he is not running a 4.5. That's like telling me that Jerry Rice ran, what did he run, a 4.7 or 4.8? He didn't run no 4.7 or 4.8 on the field. So I don't want to hear what his 40 time was, 2-3 years ago. I just don't care, because on the field, he consistently produced. He consistently was the number one focal point of that Alabama offense in the SEC with all these NFL guys he played against routinely. He consistently made plays. He consistently rose above the competition, and that counts for something. Now, me personally, I've always had Ja'Marr Chase and then Jalen Waddle and then DeVonta Smith. That's just been my rankings. But all three of these guys are not that far apart. I think Ja'Marr Chase might be a little bit ahead of them, but it's not that big of a gap between these three receivers. And just to see DeVonta Smith fall like that, if the Giants watch him fall past them, I'm going to have a real issue with it, because he's going to be a great receiver wherever he goes. It's one of those things where all of these smart NFL GMs and scouts are overthinking it. Yes, he's won, 170 something, 160 something, but did you see what he did on the field? Yes, they say he might run a 4.5. First off, a 4.5 is not slow at all. You catch the ball in the middle of the field, your linebackers are running. Some linebackers will run a 4.4, but most linebackers are running 4.5, 4.6. You're going to leave those guys. You're more agile than those guys. Quickness matters a lot more than speed in the open field. And DeVonta Smith has shown also that he can go and get those long passes and beat people over the top. Derek Stingley Jr., LSU cornerback, who's going to be a great corner. I think he's going to be a great corner in NFL. He couldn't stay with him. He could not stay with DeVonta Smith that entire day. whether it be this year, whether it be last year. Derek Stingley cannot guard DeVonta Smith. And Derek Stingley is not a slow guy. He's an NFL kind of corner. So I don't want to hear about the speed. The weight is an issue, definitely. But overall, DeVonta Smith should be the pick, especially now that I just made a video about Kenny Golladay. Especially now that Kenny Golladay might get tagged. You're telling me that the Giants are going to pass on a bona fide #1 receiver? Pass on that guy for someone who's not as good a player as him. I mean, if we take a corner, fine. Okay, these corner prospects are pretty good, but we don't really have any elite corner prospects. Rashawn Slater is a good tackle. I think he's going to be a starting tackle. I don't think he's an elite tackle prospect. When you look at Kwity Paye, maybe we go Kwity Paye. I wouldn't have an issue with that, but he's not an elite rusher. If you start Kwity Paye, and Leonard Williams' spot where he would probably play for us, or even if you think he could start at offside linebacker and rush, either way, he's not a polished pass rusher. Wherever he goes, he's going to have to develop. When you look at Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he's not necessarily someone I want on my team because you talk about weight. The guy is like 210 pounds playing linebacker. The guy is getting blocked by wide receivers. When you look at Michael Parsons, the dude is doing all kinds of freaky, weird things. I mean, Michael Parsons is doing a lot of weird things. I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, I don't want him anywhere near my team. I don't want him anywhere, near the locker room because that's not going to work here. But these prospects, I would say the only prospect that's an elite prospect is Michael Parsons, and he's got the off the field stuff. So if you see that DeVonta Smith is on the board and you pass on him for anybody else besides Parsons, then you're making a huge mistake because you're not getting the best player. You're not even getting anywhere close to the best player. Now, if we pass on him for someone like Rashad Bateman, I wouldn't be mad because Rashad Bateman is basically someone who could have been DeVonta Smith, but didn't have the same resources as DeVonta Smith. He didn't play at Alabama. He didn't have, one of the best coaches of all time in football. He didn't have all of the resources that DeVonta Smith had. And I think with those resources, he probably would be, producing similarly to what DeVonta Smith did. So if we pass on him for Bateman because we say we just need a bigger guy, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we need to be taking a receiver. But I mean, if you ask me who's the better prospect between the two, it's definitely DeVonta Smith. And we don't need to overcomplicate it. He's always open. This is LSU. This is Clemson. This is the top tier competition that he plays against, and he's always open. Consistently open. I mean, destroying people down the field, destroying people on slant routes. He was a monster. So don't let the numbers on the paper decide what you do in the draft. Don't let the 40, whatever he runs in the 40 doesn't matter because you see his speed on the field. And, get him in the weight room. Get him some cheeseburgers. Get him some weight on him. It shouldn't be that hard. But you guys let me know what you think of DeVonta Smith falling at 211. I know some of my subs absolutely hate DeVonta Smith as a prospect. They think he's too small. They want big physical receivers, and that's fair. I would be looking at Bateman if I wanted that. But I think that DeVonta Smith is an elite wide receiver prospect, and I don't think we should pass on him. So you guys let me know what you think. Again, would you take him at 11? If he's there, would you bite? So if you made it this deep into the video, I'm calling you a D6 Squad member. If you're a D6 Squad member, you got to hit that subscribe button. You got to turn on that notification bell. And listen, I make all kinds of content for NFL teams. So if you're not a Giants fan, don't worry. I'll cover your team. If I'm not covering your team, let me know. And have a good one.